Now at 5:30, officers say 2 suspects in a robbery this morning are still on the run, and they're afraid what lengths they're willing to go to keep evading police. I'm Hannah Reynolds, and we'll have more on that coming up in just a few minutes.
It's a tale of 2 recoveries. Big city gains come at the expense of small towns. I dive into the numbers more than a decade after the Great Recession.
Rain chances turn to snow chances. Those details now at 5:30.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good afternoon, I'm Justin Case. Police in Laurel County say a man and woman are on the run after a robbery this morning, and they fear what lengths they could go to stay away from police. WYMT's Hannah Reynolds talked to officers about the incident.
Friday was just another typical morning at Love's truck stop in Corbin.
Well, it started out as a shoplifting offense,
but quickly made a turn for the worst as police say a duo robbed the store. The suspects went back to their van, and that is when the manager confronted them.
The suspect slammed the door on him and attempted to run him over and did, in fact, strike him,
starting a chase with police down Highway 770.
The deputy said as soon as he turned on the vehicle, he could tell the guy wasn't going to stop.
And police say the pursuit could have injured some children.
The suspect almost hit some kids that were waiting outside for a school bus.
Police say a dead end stopped him in his tracks, where he ran into the woods, leaving his van.
You know, this tells us that this is a dangerous individual, and we need to get him off the road, because if he did these things, what else could he do?
Motivating police to stop them before they could potentially hurt anyone else.
The longer that it takes, the more likely they are to do something crazy. There's all kinds of bad things that could happen if we don't get these people into custody.
Police say the duo are still on the run, but they have had several leads and expect to identify and make arrests for the robbers soon. In Laurel County, Hannah Reynolds, WYMT Mountain News.
And we'll have more on that story coming up a little later on.
Well, it is a gloomy day across eastern Kentucky. Cloud cover, the big story, and we continue to look at a few isolated showers at this time. Notice pinpoint Doppler. You're looking at that rain activity across Knott County, Floyd County, even through Pike and Martin County at this time. In fact, you could see those little showers working their way to the northeast, and temperatures really tanking. The Arctic air trying to work in with 36 in Moorhead, 40 in Hazard, and 47 in Harlan County. Of course, tonight's low temperatures, depending on where you are, colder to the northwest, warmer to the southeast. That continues to be the trend as you look at Whitesburg, where they're expected to drop to 40 degrees tonight, while Campton is expected to reach 35. The similar story for the Big Sandy areas, and eventually in the coming days, these temperatures will be warmer than our highs. Justin will talk about that cold air just from the start of March and what you can expect for this weekend in a few short minutes.
Andrew, thank you. Last weekend's flooding is causing big issues for many counties. Officials in Powell County say the damaged roads could be nearly $500,000 in repairs. High water was a huge issue. It caused Clay City to declare a state of emergency. Chelsea Jones talked with the Powell County Judge Executive about the cleanup process they now face.
Floodwaters have receded in Powell County, revealing all the damage left behind.
Within the county, our eastern end seemed to have the worst, and like I said, they tend to have the most geography, you know, far as hills and drainage structure, so that was the most heavily hit area.
Officials say the flooding damaged roads and culverts. They're now estimating the cost of repairs.
In the county, we're probably going to see somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000. We're still compiling some of the estimates to see for sure, as well as both cities have some damage.
Officials have been riding through neighborhoods looking for areas affected by last week's storm. They say repairs could take some time.
That's kind of frustrating, not only to ourselves, but to our residents, in that it's not something we have a problem we can just go out and fix. We have to get it documented, get the estimates, and make sure that we file the proper paperwork in order to make sure that we get reimbursed if it's an emergency situation.
Looking at the damage, officials say the situation could have been much worse.
Thankfully, there's no loss of life or severe incidents in that regard. So I think with this event, most people were well prepared as to what to kind of expect.
In Powell County, Chelsea Jones, WKYT.
Leaders in Powell County say to contact city leaders if you have flood damage to your property or if you see damage within the city limits of Clay City or Stanton. Right now, a Michigan teenager is in jail after a chase in southern Kentucky. Police say a commercial vehicle enforcement officer tried to stop Harold Summers on Interstate 75 in Laurel County. They say he did not stop and ended up in Whitley County. Police eventually used spike strips, but Summers kept going. He made it onto Kentucky 92 before he lost control and crashed. He is facing several charges, including fleeing or evading, stealing a car, and possession of marijuana. And in McCreary County, the school superintendent has resigned following an investigation. The Herald Leader reports board members approved the agreement with the superintendent, Michael Cash, last night. This comes after allegations of improper activity with a teacher. Parents protested before the meeting. The investigation began after board members were mailed a video. The contents of that video were not publicly discussed, but board members say that led to the decision to suspend Cash last month. Two brothers are in jail in a disturbing case out of Berea. They were accused of using a shock collar on a child. Deputies say Luke Sampson let his brother Theodore put a shock collar meant for a dog on a 4-year-old child as a form of punishment. The two were arrested yesterday and taken to the Madison County Detention Center. And in Madison County, we now know when chemical weapons housed at the Bluegrass Army Depot will be disposed of. Destruction of the deadly munitions is scheduled to take place Thursday, March 21st. The depot in Richmond holds rockets packed with nerve agents and mustard gas. After nearly 10 years of construction, a plant designed to neutralize the weapons was finished last year. 2/3 of rural economies still have not recovered jobs lost in the Great Recession. Washington correspondent Kyle Madura digs into the data to explain what's holding back smaller communities.
From Maine to Alaska, the national economy continues to pick up speed, but the areas in between America's cities are being left behind.
The whole state is struggling a little bit right now.
Tina Shaw is the president of the Marion County Chamber of Commerce in West Virginia. She says her pocket of the state is growing faster than any other, but the county still has fewer jobs than it did in 2007. Economic gains are limited by an aging population and young workers leaving for job opportunities in big cities.
We really are trying to focus on how to keep our young talent in the state and also find ways to get them back.
Expanding high-speed internet's availability could help small towns tap into big city job markets from afar. But those who crunch the national data say most efforts to help rural economies get out of their funk aren't working.
There isn't a clear strategy that works, and the areas that we have seen recover nicely have kind of a unique circumstance.
Frank Mamo, an analyst with Moody's Investor Service, says natural resources like energy production or a strong tourism draw help some areas buck the trend. He says cities are catering to the historically strong demand for service jobs. Manufacturing is slipping, as are the rural economies that rely on it.
It's possible that this was inevitable and that the recession just sped everything up.
Many communities are slashing budgets as fewer workers generate less tax money for local government. But doing so also drains even more cash out of the local economy. In Washington, Kyle Madura, WYMT Mountain News.
Vice President Mike Pence is coming back to the Commonwealth. He'll be in Lexington next week to campaign for Governor Matt Bevin. The Republican Party of Kentucky says the vice president will take part in a fundraiser at the Aviation Museum on March 8th in Lexington. Tickets to the event cost $1,000 each. Governor Bevin is running for his second term. He's being challenged by 3 other Republicans in the May primary. A busy month is ahead for the staff at the KFC Yum Center in Louisville. It all starts with a huge concert tonight as Blake Shelton takes over in just a couple hours. But all eyes right now for Cats fans will be on Kentucky as they could land in Louisville for the NCAA tournament. If the Cats can get a #1 seed and end up in the South region, they will play at the Yum Center March 28th through the 30th, and no doubt they would bring a massive sea of blue.
It takes a lot of planning. We've been working with the NCAA ever since we were awarded the bid just maybe 2 years ago. And so really the last 6 or 8 months working with the university and our local sports commission and other local groups, we've been planning for it. So we're ready for it.
The NCAA means more media coverage, more people looking at the arena, and they're excited about it. Tickets for the games and concerts are on sale now. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, an outcry of support for greeters at Walmarts as the company making changes. Hear what those former greeters with disabilities will now be doing.
And as we head into tonight, temperatures in the mid-30s, calm winds, foggy conditions, and a few isolated showers. We'll have your forecast coming up in 6 minutes, but if you can't wait, you can get that on the WYMT weather app.
Coming up tonight at 6, despite the cold temperatures and drizzle, volunteers and county officials were out delivering food to those in Confluence who are trapped by flooding.
When you see news happening, dial star 57 or text your news tip to 5757. Service is provided by Appalachian Wireless. Better service, bigger savings.
Breathe easier with ARH Home Care Store oxygen and home medical equipment. Our stores are conveniently located throughout southeastern Kentucky, plus you get after hours and weekend service through your local ARH hospital. Comprehensive and convenient. ARH, taking care of you at home.
It's the Kentucky Lottery's 30th anniversary. Back then, there were no memes, no streaming music, or smartphones. You could win $2,500 on a scratch-off, but that was then. Introducing